Have you ever noticed the busier you get, the further you tend to drift from things that matter? And that drift, that's exactly where I found myself when I was listening to Peter Bregman's book, 18 Minutes. Find your focus, master distraction, and get the right things done. I want to welcome you back to the Quiet Impact Podcast. This is where introverted leaders and entrepreneurs can learn to amplify their presence, profit from your purpose, and lead without compromising your peace. What he said about focus and rhythm hit different for me as an introvert, a leader, an entrepreneur, and as a coach to introverts. In this episode, we're going to walk through some of the lessons from 18 minutes and see how they directly translate into how we as introvert leaders can stay in flow without losing our peace. Let's jump in, shall we? Welcome to the Quiet Impact Podcast, where we nurture the journey of introverts who desire to achieve greater levels of influence, income, and impact. The go-to podcast for introvert achievers just like you, seeking purpose-driven growth. I am your host, Stephanie Oden. We're not shy, timid, or needing to be fixed. We're an introvert, and that is our superpower. Introverted AFF. Absolutely fabulous and feisty. Let's walk through some powerful lessons from 18 Minutes. I actually listened to the audiobook by Peter Bregman, and I want to give you some things that I picked up from him and how they directly translate to how we as introvert leaders and entrepreneurs, how we can stay in flow without losing our peace. The art of pausing before acting. So there's power through presence. For introverts, the pause isn't hesitation typically, it's power. That small moment before we respond, before we post, before we comment, that's our alignment. The world likes to celebrate speed. I get that. And I've heard that. Success loves speed. I get that. Both can be true. Wisdom comes in that stillness. And when we pause, we create a space to hear what actually is ours to do, not what's expected. Try this. Before a task or a meeting, take a 60-second clarity pause and ask, is this mine to do, or am I doing it from pressure? Because that one question will change everything. Because most of the time, overwhelm isn't from doing too little, it's from doing what's actually not ours to do. Here's a ritual you can put into play. Rhythm over rush. This is the heart of what he shared, and sometimes it's missing. The idea is simple, and I'm still working through this in my journey and applying it in my day. Spend 18 minutes a day building a rhythm around your priorities. So how do you do that? So 5 minutes in the morning to plan, 1 minute each hour to refocus, and 5 minutes at the end of the day to reflect. That's it. 5 minutes to plan, 1 minute every hour to refocus, and 5 minutes at the end of the day to reflect. Here's why this matters for us. It creates a rhythm, and that's what I found. It creates a rhythm that keeps my nervous system calm. 5 minutes in the morning, okay, got that. I take that, I plan what I'm going to do, I put that in my productivity daily tracker. 5 minutes at the end of the day, I can put it in my journal. And then the 1 minute, that's something that I wasn't doing. 1 minute every hour to refocus. And 1 minute it resets things. You don't need to sprint all day to be productive. You just need to move with intentionality. Here's a quiet move for you. In the morning, choose 3 priorities that align with your purpose and not urgency. And then every hour, ask yourself, am I still on what matters? This is good. This is good stuff. I hope you're making notes. Am I still on what matters? And then in the evening, reflect and celebrate your progress instead of punishing yourself for what's done. As you lay in bed and you're not scrolling and you're not watching TV, you're asking yourself, actually saying to yourself, you know what, that's good. You did good things today. Because the focus isn't built through rush, it's built through rhythm. It's like being boring in a good way because you're in rhythm. You know how sometimes you drive home from somewhere and it's a route you've already taken and you're almost doing it on automatic because it's a rhythm. It doesn't stress you out to get from the store to home. It doesn't aggravate your nervous system because you have a rhythm that's going. And I've mentioned it before. If you've been wanting a way to help you build rhythm in your day, I personally use a tool. It's what I call Let's Go. It's simple, it's visual, it helps you plan with purpose, it helps you track your focus, it helps you celebrate consistency. I'll put the link in the comments. I love it because it fits right into this. It helps you build momentum without pressure. It's a quiet accountability system that keeps you aligned with your goals in the energy you operate in and not against it. It's not about more to dos, it's about flow and focus. Here's a bullseye: choosing the right things, not all the things. How many have been guilty of choosing all the things before? We're going to look at focus flow. So, we're driven by curiosity and responsibility. Many of us. We say yes too often until we decide not to. But he reminds us that motion isn't progress. Doing everything is the fastest way to lose impact. And this is where that focus flow comes in. Doing fewer things with deeper presence creates authority and results. One of the changes I've made in my business is I've really honed in on who it is I serve, how I want to serve them, what are the products that I'm going to offer them. And that has created for me kind of this rhythm, this focus flow. In terms of your day, here's what you can ask yourself. And I do this as part of my daily activation. What's one thing that, if done today, will move several pieces forward? What's that one thing? I call it my 10x. Now, I know 10x in terms of building a business and 10xing it is not the term that's used for that, but that's how I use it. If I want to 10x where I'm going, I look at what's one thing I can do. If it's done today, it will move several things forward. And that question by itself can help you stop scattering your energy and go back and start to reclaim your focus. I really like this next one. And it is, embracing imperfection as progress. Give yourself permission to be human. How about that? Novel concept, right? Give yourself permission to be human. Can we talk about perfectionism for a second? Just a second. Because it really is a quiet trap that a lot of us fall into. We overthink, we over edit, we over create, we over delay. Not because we're lazy. I used to beat myself up because, oh my gosh, you're so lazy, cancel clear. No, because I care. I care about delivering and not wasting people's time. And I had a little moment. Bregman says perfectionism is fear that's often in disguise. Fear of criticism, fear of being seen before we're ready. I'm just going to let that sit. That's a little ouch for me when I went through the book because I used to be that way. And I get that. I get that. And I have clients that I work with, and it comes down to I'm a perfectionist. I can't do it because I'm a perfectionist. It's a fear. It's a fear that maybe you've made decisions in the past and they didn't come out the way you thought they should. There's a criticism, there's a judgment. I'm not ready. Like all of that is fear. But progress only happens when you move, babe, sir, ma'am, even imperfectly. What is perfect anyway? Where did we get this idea that we had to be perfect? We're not perfect. We're imperfectly perfect. That's the only perfect we are. You don't need permission to start. You do need courage to continue. So, one way to shift your mindset is to look at this might stretch you a little bit, is to look at, you know what? I'm not trying to get it right. I'm willing to learn in public. Now, public doesn't have to be global, it doesn't have to be TikTok. One of the things we do inside the Introvert Achievers Network, that's one of those cultural cues that we live by. We celebrate visible progress over a flawless performance. You're allowed in that community to be imperfect, and you can be publicly, authentically, imperfectly, perfectly you. Create boundaries for deep work. Protect your peace. Focus is sacred. Here's one of my favorite lessons. If you don't guard it, the world will gladly fill your time for you. I do my best thinking in an uninterrupted space. You probably do also. If you're like someone like me, that's not a weakness. That is design. You may not be able to do this one the way I laid out, but I'm going to challenge you to get there. Schedule a 90-minute focus block each day, phone off, notifications silent, and just flow. Maybe you need to start 30 minutes to block it off. Just flow. I like encouraging work sessions, quiet work sessions where we all get on the screen. And like I said, I said turn off things, but sometimes it helps when you're in a community. We get on screen, but we don't talk. It's like co-working in silence. No chatter, no chatting, no pressure, just presence. Because sometimes that best productivity hack is that permission to not be available. So we're present, we're doing these quiet work sessions, and we're getting things done, and we're not allowing ourselves to be distracted. We're not picking up the phone. We're not answering notifications. We're doing the thing that we're supposed to be doing. I also like how he highlighted the power of saying no gracefully. I think it's a learned thing. I really do. I think it's a learned thing to look at boundaries as leadership. No is a complete sentence, and no is one of the most powerful leadership tools there is. But a lot of introverts struggle with that. Not because we can't say it, but because we don't want to disappoint. Now, that might not be you, but that was me. I didn't want to say no. And some of it is conditioning. If you want to rise up, you got to say yes to everything. But what I've learned as a self awareness and as this place of growth, and I want to share with you, is he refrains no as an act of respect, both for ourselves and for others. That matters. How can I be the best version of myself if I'm saying yes to all the things when I know that's going to put me at a place of not being my best self? And it'll put me at that place where I don't have capacity to give the attention to whatever it is I'm giving because I've overextended. This kind of no, it's a thoughtful no. It keeps your integrity intact and it keeps your peace protected. The last one, live intentionally, not reactively. That is an advantage for me. That is a quiet advantage. Towards the end of the book, he says something that lingers long after the pages close. A meaningful life isn't built by reacting to everything that comes your way. We get to control how we react. It is built intentionally by shaping our days around what matters most. And that's where we have a natural edge. Because most of the time we think before we move. We do need to move though. But we think before we move. So each week, set one intention for presence, like who you want to be, and one intention for progress. What do you want to move? One intention for presence, one intention for progress. This simple rhythm is something that keeps you anchored in what your vision is. It keeps you anchored in your alignment instead of velocity. Because if you hadn't noticed, it's pretty fast out there. But by doing this quiet practice, it keeps you dialed in to what matters. You know what? If you take nothing else from this episode, I want you to remember this. Focus isn't something that you master once. It's a choice that you renew every day. I like how he laid out the 18-minute habit. Several of these pieces I was already doing and I didn't know. I'm adding in the tweaks that I mentioned to you, like 1 hour, make sure I'm still working on 1 minute to make sure I'm working on the same thing. The 18-minute habit isn't just about getting things done. It's about becoming the kind of leader who moves with rhythm and not rush. Becoming that kind of leader who is intentionally shaping your days around what matters most. The 18-minute habit isn't just about getting things done. It's about becoming the kind of leader who moves with rhythm and not with rush. When everything is going fast, that's not saying you can't go fast, but that's where it comes back to that intention of presence, who I want to be, that intention of progress. What do I want to move forward in? So that rhythm can keep you anchored. In essence, you can go faster, repeatably, and still be in alignment with who you are. So thanks for tuning into this episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your takeaways on what I shared today. Have you read this book? Would love to hear that. See you next time. That's it for this episode of the Quiet Impact Podcast. Thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Let me know any insights that you have from this episode. I would love to hear your takeaways. Remember to head to my website, grab a copy of the Success Pillars for Quiet Achievers. It's a resource I created for you. And join us next week. Thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing. See you next time.